You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, guys, let's talk about the transgender sports issue. Folks, this thing is going to be on life support. Now, this particular trans athlete was actually at Boise State. Now, this dates back all the way to 2020. Now, even back then, guys, I believe that was kind of like the starting point, really, of the trans issue in sports. Everybody knows about the Will Leah Thomas situation in 2022 when it really exploded. And we really started seeing all these male athletes want to compete against women. Guys, when it comes to this Boise State athlete, now this guy who identifies as a female definitely wanted to play on the sports team. However, this is actually in Idaho, of course. And guess what? He tried to sue to play in female sports. Now, here we are in 2025, guys, and guess what? He wants this whole thing to drop. And he got some bad news, folks. Some absolute bad news. Because guess what? This thing now has reached all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is supposed to actually rule on this. They're supposed to hear arguments and rule on it. And folks, I'm pretty sure we probably know how this is going to end. This will actually kill the transgender invasion in women's sports. And I believe this person wants no part of that. So he actually tried to have the lawsuit pulled. But he got some bad news, guys. It is not going to happen. The Supreme Court will hear the arguments, folks. They're going to hear it. And I can already tell you how this thing is going to end. I mean, guys, this is really the thing that Charlie Kirk was actually talking about. Remember how left was actually saying that, he was against the Civil Rights Act? No, this is a prime example of what he was talking about. He was talking about how the Civil Rights Act was weaponized by like the trans community to actually invade women's sports, calling it civil rights. Yeah, this is a prime example right here. But let's go ahead and get into this, guys. Here we go. Right over here, federal judge rules in favor of allowing SCOTUS case over trans athletes to proceed after attempt to dismiss. Yeah, this trans athlete, man, overplayed his hands because he already knows how the Supreme Court is going to rule on this. It's going to backfire in his face, and it's going to cause a whole bunch of transgender folks to be kicked out of women's sports. Says here, the legal defense to save women's sports scored a big win in its Supreme Court battle over transgender athletes this week. An Idaho trans athlete tried to have the potential landmark SCOTUS case dropped. A federal judge struck down the attempt to dismiss it and ruled that the case should proceed. U.S. District Judge David Nye, appointed by President Donald Trump in 2017, rejected former Boise State trans athlete Lindsay Hecott's, is that the way you pronounce the last name? Don't know. A motion to dismiss the case. The trans athlete started the legal battle in 2020, but tried to have it dismissed in September after the Supreme Court agreed in July to hear the case. Yeah, because Lindsay Hecott's knows this is not going to work out in his favor. And he knows that's going to be severe ramifications when the Supreme Court actually rules. And it won't be in his favor. Anyway, now Nye has denied Hecott's request. Nye emphasized that after years of litigation, quote, Idaho has a fair right to have his arguments heard and adjudicated once and for all. And that, quote, the court feels Hecott's mootness argument is, as above, somewhat manipulative to avoid Supreme Court review and should not be endorsed. Yeah. The Little versus Hecott's lawsuit was initially filed by Hecott's in 2020 when a trans athlete wanted to join the women's cross country team at Boise State and had the state's law to prevent trans athletes from competing in women's sports blocked. Hecox was joined by an anonymous biological female student, Jane Doe, who was concerned about the potential of being subjected to the sex dispute verification test, or not test, but process. The challenge was successful as a federal judge blocked Idaho's state law. A 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals panel upheld an injunction blocking the state law in 2023 before the Supreme Court agreed to hear the case in July. Yeah, this is not going to work out, I believe, in favor of Hecox. Hecox then asked SCOTUS last month to drop the challenge, claiming the athlete, quote, has therefore decided to permanently withdraw and refrain from playing any women's sports at BSU or in Idaho. Yeah. So this trans athlete here, okay, won some lower court battles, but the Supreme Court has the final say. And they're panicking. The defense team, led by Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador and Alliance Defending Freedom Attorney Kristen Wagner, pushed back against Hecox's attempt to end the battle before it reaches the Supreme Court, arguing dismissal violated the agreed upon stay. Yeah. Quote, from day one in office, defending the law has been a top priority because Idaho's daughters deserve fair competition based on biological reality. The district court has ruled that years of litigation, Idaho has earned the right to present our case to the nation's highest court. This decision keeps our lawsuit alive, and I won't stop until women and girls sports are safe. Women and girls, I should say, are safe to compete, participate, and excel in competitive sports. Yeah. Hecox's efforts to have the case drop aren't completely over, as SCOTUS must still rule on whether the case is moot. But Labrador and his team believe NIA's ruling is a good sign for their side. Yeah, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. I mean, honestly, guys, I don't have much faith in John Roberts. I really don't. But I believe this is going to be a 6-3 ruling in favor of Idaho. Okay? Idaho. And this is going to set the trend for all these states, man. That states that actually ban transgenders from women's sports, yeah, they got a right to do that. Yeah. And by the way, Title IX is supposed to protect women. Protect women. Now, I'm not a lawyer, guys. I just got a feeling. And even if it's not 6-3, let's say John Roberts is wishy-washy. But in this case, I don't think he's going to be. I really don't. It still would pass 5-4. But I think this is going to be a 6-3 ruling, folks. This will be the death knell to the transgender sports issue. And boy, this is going to be a massive blow to the trans agenda in women's sports. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.